Well, good morning. Thank you very much for joining me on this video. I want to talk to you this morning about partnerships and something called a shotgun buy-sell. Let me start by saying I'm personally not a big fan of partnerships. It's a bias of mine. But I think these days, marriages, which are supposed to be forever, often don't last. And they start not only with a common vision that two people have, but they love each other. When you got two people entering into a partnership, they don't have that love base. Well, they might like each other, they might be friends, but they don't have that. What they do have is a common business vision or goal. Trouble is, over time, economies change and people's vision change, and they may not change in tandem. One can be beginning to go one direction, one begin to go another direction, and you've got a problem. I think the exception to that rule or that bias is when you've got a project-oriented, short-term plan that you want to participate in. Let me give you an example. Let's suppose you're the real estate agent and you have somebody that you know who is a developer, somebody else you know who is a builder, and somebody else you know who is an investor or has access to funds. You get together and you decide you're going to do a project, and that project is going to be developing a subdivision. So you find a large parcel of land that you want to acquire, and the game plan is to set it up for a subdivision, build the product, and market them. And each person has a component, has a part to play. The real estate agent finds the land that you're going to begin, and the financing guy comes up with the money to acquire the land. And then the developer knows how to get it to site plan approval and moves it along to that point. And then the builder builds the product, the realtor comes back and markets it. Depending on the size of the project, depending on the climate, economic climate, it may be a couple of years from the time you go in till the time you leave. And then at that point, you can decide, gee, that worked really, really well. We get along really well. We share a vision. Let's do it again. And then you do it again. No problem. Where the problem arises, I see so often, is when a couple of people decide they're going to enter into an investment purchase of a property, or they're going to develop some kind of a business. Let's look at the investment property. Let's suppose you and a partner, or you as a realtor, are working with a couple of clients as partners who want to buy an investment property. So they buy it perhaps in a partnership, or they set up a corporation, they each have shares in the corporation, and they buy the investment property. And for a couple of years, everything works wonderfully well. What happens over time, though, is the value of the property goes up, and the mortgage is gradually being paid down by the rent, and now there's a reasonable amount of equity in that property. Then along comes a bad tenant, and the one partner says, I've had it, let's get rid of this. The other partner says, no, I'm in it for the long haul, we'll get a new tenant, everything will be fine. Well, that's not insurmountable, because the one can buy the other out, providing you've got the financial resources and the credit to be able to do it. One buys the other out, life goes on. But it's often not that simple. Let's suppose what happens is you have a duplex, and the one partner comes along and says, you know what, if we put in $30,000 or $40,000, we can put another unit in the basement and rent it as a triplex. It won't be a legal triplex, but the city is proactive. They're reactive, not proactive, and they're not going to shut it down unless somebody complains. I think we're fine. The other partner says, oh, that's a lot of money for something that can be quite dangerous. We could get shut down and our money would be totally lost. I don't think we should go that way at all. Or maybe a tenant leaves, they do some damage, you got to refurbish the place, and you decide, gee, it would be great to knock a couple walls down, change the concept, make it open concept, really modernize it. It's going to cost us some money, but now is the perfect time to do it. The other partner says, you know, I don't think we're going to get any kind of return on that kind of an investment. We just spruce it up, paint it up, and we can rent it, we can get a tenant. I think that's the way we should go. And so there's differences in philosophy, and somebody is going to be unhappy whatever direction you go. You've come to a point where the partnership just isn't working out. And that's the same way with businesses. It can happen that way quite easily. Now, I want to say that I've seen the odd partnership that works out extremely well, but more often than not, they don't. And what you need to do is anticipate the dissolving of the partnership when everything's wonderful and you're setting it up before things go bad. I had a couple of people I knew who jointly owned a real estate company. And I thought if anybody as a partnership is making it work, these guys are making it work. I'd watch them in conferences, and the one would take off his glasses and hand it to his partner to use because he forgot to bring his glasses. They'd finish each other's sentences. They were like an old married couple. Well, that didn't last forever. It lasted for a few years, and then things went south, and they got to the point when they came to dissolving the partnership, they hated each other. They weren't even talking to each other. And sometimes that happens. You don't want to get to that state in a partnership. You want to come up with some kind of a mechanism where you can exit the partnership in good standing and resolve the differences. And one of the things that you can use is this thing called a shotgun buy-sell. Let me explain what it is. What it is a provision, generally it's in the Articles of Incorporation or in the partnership agreement, where either party can elect to trip the shotgun buy-sell. And what he does is he offers to buy the other party out, offers to buy his shares or his half. The thing is that the party who's being made the offer has two choices. He can either accept the offer, or he can turn the tables and say, you know what, I like it, I'm going to buy you out at those price and terms. And that gets a little scary. One thing that's good about it is if I'm one of the partners, and if I want to buy my other partner out, and I really want to keep my share of the business, I really want to keep the business and have it sole proprietary business, I'm going to offer him probably more than it's worth because I want to make sure that he is most likely to accept my offer rather than buy it from me. So the price will be high, if anything, and so it's ensured that somebody isn't going to try and take advantage of the other one price-wise. But you can also plan on buying and end it out in the street. I had a friend, it's still a friend of mine, but years ago, he ran a real estate company, and he and his partner were developing some friction, didn't have the same vision that they had when they first started out. And so he decided to buy this partner out. He thought it'd be a pretty straightforward thing. He put in an offer, tripped the shotgun buy-sell. The partner said, great, I'm going to exercise it, I'm going to buy you out. And all of a sudden he had some money in his jeans, but he had no business. He was unemployed. So you've got to be very, very careful. But I think it makes a lot of sense to put that kind of a provision in there. Now, you can still negotiate outside of it. But once you've made the offering to the other party, understand that he's got the option to accept your offer or match your offer, in which case you're either going to be a buyer or a seller, and you don't control the ultimate process. Hope that makes sense. When you're dealing with clients who are just starting down this road, be able to advise them. Let them know when they're all happy and starry-eyed and excited about what they're going forward with. Let them know that there's always the possibility that this thing could come to an end, and suggest the shotgun buy-sell to put into the agreement so they got a mechanism to exit if it comes up. Hope that makes sense. I want to thank you very much for joining me in this video. I'll talk to you again next week.